Well, what's up, everybody? This is the Outlaw John Rocha here with my live reaction to that Obi-Wan finale. Listen, this is not one of those reaction videos where you're watching me every 6 seconds. A clip of the episode comes up and I'm reacting to it in real time. No, this is just my authentic reaction as I just finished watching the finale about 30 minutes ago and went absolutely insane on my social media. Did a little bit of research looking up some of the stuff that maybe I didn't know or wasn't connected to or didn't understand, and cleared my mind big time so that I can also see some things that I've been waiting to see the entire 6 episodes right at the end. If you get the hint that I'm saying, this is a spoiler reaction to the Obi-Wan Kenobi series finale. So if you have not seen the finale, if you have not watched any of it, I'm telling you right now, this is not the place you need to be. What a finale. And I want to hear from you all. Send me in your questions, thoughts, and comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say. You know, I might get emotional as I'm talking about it because I certainly got emotional watching that finale and everything that was happening for Kenobi, for Anakin, for Leia, for Luke, and for Reva even. I mean, I thought this was some of the best work that we've seen Moses Ingram do through the entire series. Certainly here struggling with where she's at, coming to terms with the wanting to do that thing that she wants to do in a misguided attempt at vengeance. And this is what happens sometimes. You become that thing that you were mad about, that thing that you were that created you, that you hated. You become that thing in order to survive. Lord knows I've gone through my own personal stuff where I was bullied a lot through my formative years up until I was 15 years old. And at times I've reverted back to being a little bit of a defensive person because I'm still that kid who got bullied at times. So I understand Reva's journey here in this episode of wanting to enact vengeance in some way, get back at someone who had destroyed her, who had killed her friends, but in the end realizing that walking that path, just like we've seen in Star Wars, walking that path to the dark side is not a great place to go. And certainly she has her moment there where she could absolutely take out one of the progeny of Anakin Skywalker, and doesn't, because she does not want to walk the same path. And it's a great finale. But I'm getting ahead of myself because that's certainly a conversation we need to have. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin, or Darth Vader, really. We're going to talk about the storyline here with Reva for sure. We're also going to talk about kind of the ancillary stuff here, a little bit of the Easter eggs that happened in this finale. And look, we're going to go deeper into this show, into this finale rather, with the Geek Buddies. That is going to happen tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. PT with me, with Mike Vogel, with Shannon McClung, and with Laura Kelly joining us to break this all down. I just couldn't wait until tomorrow night, so I'm here to talk about it live with you all. Thank you so much for joining me. I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of this thing. It was really emotional watching it. You know, seeing a Star Destroyer going after a smaller ship that Kenobi is on. Great kind of allusions to Star Wars: A New Hope, seeing that opening from Star Wars: A New Hope. Speaking of Star Wars, the original trilogy, we got some great music cues of the Imperial March and also the Force theme that came in at certain moments that I thought were fantastic. Also, we got some questions answered. You know, a lot of people thought, well, how are they going to make the lines work of Kenobi telling Luke when we see in A New Hope that, Vader killed your father? Well, we got that answer now. They kind of made it work with some crafty writing here in the show by Toby Harold, and also they got some other things going on here when we see in the Return of the Jedi, when the mask is off of Anakin, we see the scar off the top of his head. Is that the scar we just saw being put in the top of his head in that fight, in that lightsaber battle with Kenobi and Vader? My God, that lightsaber battle. Let's just start there before I go spinning off into my own galaxy. Let's just start there. What a lightsaber battle. And I love that moment on the ship. The Grand Inquisitor, he's smart. Vader's going after that ship because he wants Kenobi. The Grand Inquisitor says, and then when Kenobi drops out in his ship to take off to protect all the people on the ship, protect Roken, who he sees as a future leader. So we're certainly not done seeing Roken, to protect Leia, who's in there as well, and all the people there saying, hey, you guys protected the Jedi for 10 years. It's my turn now to pay it back, to pay it forward for you all. Let me do this. Roken says, you don't need to do this. You know this, right? He goes, oh, it's between you guys. All right. You shouldn't have to do this, but I get that you got to do it. And Kenobi, of course, essentially gives him the blessing, go and lead these people going forward in the future, drops out in his little ship and takes off to this deserted moon. And we have this battle with him and Vader. Vader takes off in his own little ship after him. And after the Grand Inquisitor says, hey, why don't we just keep going forward here and we can wipe out the entire, rebellion here instead of focusing on one dude, Anakin, who is Anakin, and Vader, who is Vader, aggressively says, no, we're going after this guy. And Grand Inquisitor, because he doesn't want to lose his life, does not contradict Vader in that moment. Goes after him. Vader goes after Kenobi. They meet on that moon. And, it's fantastic. When Vader initially thinks he's got the upper hand here, this is so fun to watch. The shots here throughout, the faraway shots, the close-up shots, the choreography, the moving of the camera. I think Deborah Chow did a phenomenal job in this finale, moving the camera around, getting the faraway shots, getting the close-up shots, moving the camera, the God's eye views. All those things really help to add to the epicness of the finale. And I don't know about you all, but I certainly got that two sons moment there from Star Wars Rebels when Maul faced Kenobi out there. I think that's the name of the episode, Two Sons. When they're out, there was a faraway shot of them as well in this kind of deserted area. Now, it was a little dark, so I've seen some people complaining that the fight sequence, it was a little bit dark. We would have liked to have seen a little more light in that fight sequence, but we got that all through Mustafar. So hey, why not have one in the light, in the darkness here as well? But I thought it was an incredible battle. Vader coming in initially on top of things, making all his comments, making all his quotes. That's what the young guys do. The young guys talk all their shit, thinking they're on top at the beginning of a battle, and then by the end, we see what happens through the middle here. And it looks, and he's saying, Kenobi, you've got your strength back, but you're still weak. You're not 100% committed, and that's your weakness. And he makes the earth essentially swallow up Kenobi. And, you'd be a fool to miss that Vader has the high ground in that moment, and Anakin both really, and starts tossing those rocks on top of Kenobi, which was incredible. And then Kenobi starts to hear those voices, starts to hear those lines from the past there. I think from Revenge of the Sith before their battle on Mustafar. He hears Anakin's quotes, and then he thinks of Leia, and he thinks of Luke, and I think in some way he's thinking of Padme as well. And in that moment, just shoots out the rocks, kind of showing his power, showing his that he's now like his chakras are all aligned, so to speak. His Jedi chakras are all aligned, and he's fully in power. Shoots out of there, goes after Vader, goes toe to toe with Vader, and gets the full on upper hand with him. Starts tossing him around the moon. Oh, we're tossing him around the moon planet there, tossing him into those whatever you call those outgrowths, those rock outgrowths there, and then in kind of a nod to Rey, elevates the rocks and tosses them at Vader, and then eventually does that almost kill strike there on Vader's helmet. And we finally see Hayden Christensen, half of his face there, and having a back and forth with Kenobi. And there isn't that moment like Vader / Anakin had with Ahsoka Tano in Rebels, where he says Ahsoka, and it's almost like the old Anakin is reaching out to Ahsoka, almost in a place of fear and care, and maybe the last vestiges of Anakin pop through in that moment. And then, of course, we see in this one, he does it. And he says to him, and I wrote down the lines here because I think it's pretty intense situation here. He says, Kenobi apologizes to Anakin, which is something, all of us have stuff that we've got from the past or mistakes we've made in the past. And all we really want to do once we mature and have some self-reflection, self-awareness, we want forgiveness for the mistakes that we've made. And he says to him, I'm sorry for all of it. And this is some fantastic acting from Ewan McGregor here as Obi-Wan, really giving a vulnerable performance in this moment and saying all the things that he's been waiting 10 years to say to Anakin, and really to say to Qui-Gon, I think a little bit as well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for all of it. And essentially, I'm sorry for creating you, for leaving you on Mustafar there as this burnt out husk. Instead of having the strength to kill you, to put you out of your misery, I left you there, and this is what you become. And I love this writing here from Toby Harold, where he says, I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. The same way I will destroy you. Then my friend is truly dead, says Kenobi. Goodbye, Darth, which is another reference to A New Hope, because a lot of people have had issues with the fact that Kenobi calls Darth Vader Darth now in retrospect, going back to New Hope, because there have been so many. Darth is just like a title, but maybe it's a little bit of a derisive shot at Darth Vader there in that moment. So he uses it again in A New Hope when they meet again. So Kenobi gets the better of Anakin throughout the entire history of their interaction, their relationship. He gets except for that one battle, I guess, that we had earlier, even though Kenobi does escape. Kenobi escapes, even though Vader gets a little bit of the upper hand in that battle. That battle's not fully finished, and then Kenobi gets away. So you could argue that 3 out of the 4 times Kenobi gets the victory, 3-1 against Darth and against Vader. And I mean that because in the battle in A New Hope, Kenobi willingly surrenders himself because there's a bigger picture thing to motivate Luke to become the balance in the Force and what have you. And that may be why some people have an issue with how Luke is portrayed in The Last Jedi, because it seemed to betray what Kenobi had surrendered his life for, was to have Luke achieve balance in the Force and fight to achieve balance in the Force. So I understand that. Certainly I felt that way when I saw some sequences in The Last Jedi, but it's such a great moment here throughout. And then when, as I said, when he elevates and throws the rocks, it's pretty cool. Plus, Kenobi does that move of his that he likes to do. We've seen it animated. We've seen it live action. It's a pretty awesome move that he does there to start the lightsaber battle. But what a battle. What a bunch of emotions. The back and forth between them verbally, the back and forth between them in the choreography of the battle, I thought were super intense and fantastic, And let's talk a little bit more about Kenobi. Hold on. Or what have you got? How many people are joining me right now? 70 of you. Thank you so much. Please hit a like on this video as well. And if you're watching later, leave a comment down below. And yes, Shagan, let me see if I put this up here. Shagan O'Durardian, I hope I'm saying that right, says, just a donation to support you, John. Thanks so much, Shagan. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you guys want to send in Streamlabs or Super Chats, please feel free to send it in. I would appreciate it madly, just because I'm going live here. So just having some fun with you all and just talking about it, reacting to it. So if you want to send in some Streamlabs or Super Chats rather to support what I got going on, please feel free. Not asking for them, just saying if you want to. All right, I'm not in that place to be like, hey, whatever. And so Travis Earl said nothing's perfect, but when this show was firing on all cylinders, it was some of the best Star Wars yet. Travis, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're absolutely right. I think overall, both Boba Fett and this season of Kenobi have been a little bit uneven in certain episodes. And I'm very interested in going back and doing an entire binge watch. And, something occurred to me, and we're gonna get to the other storylines. Trust me, we're going to tell the storylines. But something occurred to me as I was watching Kenobi today, as I was watching it this morning. Of course, I'm reacting to it now in real time. Watching it today, I thought to myself, is Star Wars making a mistake by not putting them all out at once? Certain shows work better if you're putting them all out at once. And I wonder if we would feel differently about Book of Boba Fett. I wonder if we'd feel differently about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series if they had put them all out at once. That way, boom, we're jumping right into this. Boom, we're jumping right into the next one. Boom, we're connecting the storylines a little bit easier, a little bit more cohesively than if they were happening once a week. So I just wonder about that. It occurred to me today as I was watching this finale, because I love the finale. I had a great time with the finale. At no point, I think there was one moment where I was like, well, this doesn't make sense. And I'll get to that in just a second. But yeah, to me, this absolutely works. So Travis Earl, I totally hear you. And I respect exactly where you're coming from for sure. Let me see here. Let me just kind of put this in here for people who maybe want to send any support or any appreciation for going live. And I want to hear what you all think. I want to hear your thoughts as well. So please send them in as we go along. And I love this. Yeah. Obi doesn't kill in cold blood. Obi doesn't kill in cold blood. Well, he would. It was a battle. He would have killed. He could have killed Vader both times. Listen, he could have killed Vader there at the end of this battle. Of course, he can't because, of course, the storyline wouldn't make any sense. But he could have killed him there as well in Mustafar. So if we hadn't had New Hope in original trilogy, you can make a case that Kenobi has left Anakin alive both times, and in both times he's left him alive, Anakin has gone on to kill millions and millions of people. So you can argue it's like the Batman and the Joker, right? Like every time the Batman leaves the Joker alive, the Joker is off to kill a bunch of innocent people. Batman tracks him down, puts him back into Arkham. Then eventually Joker gets away. So this, this idea of, is it the right thing to not kill? Is it the right thing? What is the balance here, right? You can go back to even real world events in Hiroshima, dropping the nuclear bomb at the end of World War II on Japan. Was that really the right move, killing all those innocent people in exchange for the millions that you might be saving down the road? I don't know. That's all in I think you have to make your own personal decision about that, your own personal journey about that, what your feeling is. Of course, this is fictional, so it's a whole nother thing, but you can argue the real-time effects in a fictional universe, and certainly Vader goes on a 10-year rampage, essentially, over the next 10 years before he sees Kenobi again in A New Hope. So every single time he leaves him, and is he benefiting the galaxy by leaving Vader alive? I don't know. So, but and you imagine the Emperor would have found someone to replace Vader. So it's not like that many lives maybe would have been saved. Who can say? Who can say for sure? But yeah, it's just incredible to see that. And I got emotional. I certainly got emotional watching that battle. I mean, Kenobi's emotions, his tears, his love, his affection for Anakin is so there throughout that whole battle. It is so touching and moving. And, no matter what side of the fence you're on in life, sometimes you lose people to outside influences. They walk a different path. And it's always heartbreaking for you to lose them, whether they be a Padawan, whether they be a master, whether they, in terms of the Jedi situation, whether they be a friend, a brother, a family member, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a significant other, a coworker, a boss, anything. It's always tough when outside influences, for whatever reason, turn them or help them to walk down a darker path, and you lose them in your life, and it sucks. It's heartbreaking, and you could tell that there was a lot of emotion going on in Ewan McGregor's performance in those sequences. You can hear my voice is starting to quiver a little bit because I got real emotional watching that, and hearing Hayden do excellent work too. In essence, they brought him back, and I don't know if he does the voice, and then they brought in James Earl Jones, and maybe they mixed the two voices together to make it so that Hayden Christensen is acting throughout the entire series, or was he just brought back for this fight sequence here because he's in the costume? He has to be in the costume. You've seen all the training that he's been doing. There's no way he's not in the costume a majority of this battle, and if not the whole battle. And was he brought back just for that moment? And if he was brought back just for that moment, that was enough. I love that we live in a world where we can bring him back, and not just him back, but a couple of other people back that we'll get to in a little bit. Let's move on to the Reva storyline. I thought the Reva storyline was fantastic as well. The Reva storyline worked so well in this particular episode, right? She's still alive, and she's another person that's been left alive by a combatant or by an enemy here. But she is so determined. She shows up on Tatooine. Pretty great to see the Jawa and all the different droids and all the different species hanging out on Tatooine. Knocks out the water off that ruffian's hand, and then asks for the location of Owen's farm. So she heads out to Owen's farm. Nice to see Bonnie Piesse and Joel Edgerton get a little more time here. I got to tell you something before we get too deep into this. I wish we had more with them. I mean, if there's a couple of criticisms I can have about the series overall. I would have liked to have seen some of Luke with Owen and Beru. So let's see their adventures. Let's see what they're going through. Let's see what they're doing. Let's see Luke on the land speeder. Let's see, look, maybe there's a separate series called Luke Skywalker or Luke, where we watch him growing up on that moisture farm. We watch him going to things, interacting with different species from different planets, having these back and forths. He does such great work, that young kid as Luke. You have that scene with him and Owen in the bar when that guy who Reva was asking where Owen's farm was, shows up at the bar and tells him, hey, there's someone coming for you. And so he runs over and tells Beru, and they set up their defense mechanism. And and Owen wants to run to another place, and Beru's like, "Nah, man, we're making our stand here. We are enough. Believe in yourself. We are enough." And I love that, giving Bonnie Piesse a strong thing to do, strong action to do here in this sequence. And then we see them fight off Reva for a while before Reva finally gets the upper hand and chases Luke out into those mountains. I have a little bit of criticism there too. I mean, she's a Force user. Maybe she's weak from the shot, so maybe she can't like just toss Owen aside and toss Beru aside. But she does get hurt by Owen a couple of times in the battle, which seemed odd to me considering she's got her lightsaber and she is a Sith Force user. I imagine she would be able to toss Owen around like no problem. So I found that to be, I guess there's a little bit of a suspension of disbelief to allow Owen to get some shots in on Reva. Plus, if you bring Joel Edgerton back, you're not going to let him just sit on the sidelines and do nothing. You got to let him fight. So I understand that as well. But I thought Beru, give me some more Bonnie Piesse, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really mad we only got her, and not mad, but I'm just sad. I say that we only got a little bit of her in this finale, in the series. In the series. So I want to see more with her in this role. So I'm telling you right now, Lucasfilm, if you Disney, I know you're not watching, but if you are watching by any chance, please, for the love of God, work on a Luke Skywalker series. We got to see Leia all through this series, and I would like to have seen Luke with Owen and Beru. So let's have that. It doesn't have to be boring. And I know people are probably like, oh, Tatooine again. If you do it well, nobody cares. They said the same thing about a third Spider-Man. Oh, Spider-Man again. And guess what? People fucking love Tom Holland Spider-Man. So I'm just putting it out there that it's about the execution. It's not about the location or repeating the same stuff. It's always about execution. That's what matters here. Yeah. All right. So let's see here. Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, sorry. So Reva shows up. They have the battle. They have the fight here between them, which I think is pretty awesome. And then Reva chasing Luke out into those mountains, and Luke kind of getting away, hiding a little bit, and then eventually he slides down the mountains. It seems like Reva's using her Force to do that. He slides down the mountain and he's knocked out. Right, he's knocked out. And Reva has this moment that she can use her lightsaber to kill Luke. And just like Kenobi, visualizing Luke and Leia in that when he's under all the rocks and stuff, we see Reva see herself as a youngling, see herself lying against the mountain, or that mini mountain there, or the rock formation rather, lying against the rock formation there, and she almost does it, but she can't, because she knows if she does, she'll be no better than Vader. So the lessons are here. The lessons are here, ladies and gentlemen. They're repeating the patterns of the people who abused you, turns you into the abuser that you supposedly hated and didn't want to be. It's a lesson we all have to learn. Listen, like I said, in the past, I was bullied and beat up, all through my younger years until I was 15. I eventually found a way to kind of stand up for myself and fight back. But at times I veered into that place of like pushing people away or hurting people verbally, because I'm still that kid sometimes. And when I feel attacked or I feel like people coming after me, I get upset. So then I have to kind of remember that, go through my steps, and then come out the other side and apologize. It doesn't happen that often, maybe every few years. But when it does happen, I remember that that's the process. You don't want to become that thing that was that hurt you. And for anybody listening, I think it's a very positive message that Star Wars has, and the Obi-Wan Kenobi series has here as well, with that one with Reva. And of course, she walks out holding Luke. They think he might be dead. They're not going to attack Reva because, of course, she's a Sith user, and Kenobi is there as well. And Luke stirs, and there's a great moment where she's like, "I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it." And she feels like she's let down her fellow younglings in her pursuit of vengeance, thinking that she killed Luke. She would be hurting Anakin down the road whenever he finds out that Luke is his son. And maybe she felt by killing Luke, she would stop the repetitive pattern of another Anakin Skywalker coming to take his place, And so, what she's not 100% wrong, because remember, Anakin or Vader tries to bring Luke to the dark side all through the original trilogy. You don't know the power. He does the whole time trying to bring Luke in to be by his with my, we'll rule the galaxy with you by my side. We'll rule the galaxy together as father and son. So certainly Reva wasn't wrong in her mentality and thinking that Luke could possibly take Anakin's place or could be just as bad as Anakin, so to speak, as Vader. But she was, of course, she was wrong to try and kill a child, of course, 100%. But her mindset or her overall big picture thinking was there as well. So I really loved that. I really enjoyed that. I thought the music sequences were really, throughout that whole sequence, I thought the music score, the music cues were really well done there, built up the tension and the drama of that moment. And Moses' acting was just so good there, really just breaking down, surrendering herself to Kenobi, a kindred spirit in a way now, and Kenobi returning the favor, saying to her, you have nothing to feel sorry about. You have nothing to feel sorry. You're free. Because she lays down her stuff. She lays down her Sith stuff, her Inquisitor stuff. And he says, you're free, and so am I. Both of them coming to terms with the darkness inside themselves so they can let it go, which is really powerful. I mean, just incredibly powerful messaging here from Star Wars, from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, from the writers and the directors and the creators of this series. Just powerful messages resonating there. If you let go of that hate, you let go of that anger, you let go of the people who abused you. And look, we all struggle with it. We all hope to one day let go of that stuff, because it can come back and bite us in the ass in certain interactions with people we love sometimes. And we hope we can come to terms with that and come out the other side. And it's not always easy. And we'll get to the Emperor's little nuggets of wisdom as well a little bit later on here as we're talking about this stuff. But let me see if we got any Streamlabs or super chats. Got 100 of you watching me right now. Thank you so much for joining me. This was impromptu. I'm just hanging out, going live with my reaction to the finale. So if you want to leave a Streamlab or super chat, feel free. You don't have to. I've pinned it in the chat if you want to. No big deal. I'm going to run through these and see if I've got any here that I should hit on before I miss any from you guys. Let's see here. Fredtastic also says, watching Obi-Wan remember Leia's kindness, then him reaching his Jedi potential with all that power is exactly what I wanted to see. You're absolutely right, Fred. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's the thing, right? That's what they said. If the was it in Kenobi or was it another series where they're talking about think about something you hate and then it'll come to you, but it's about thinking about something you love. And then you'll find the power. Think about something you care about, and then you'll find that extra strength. We've read numerous stories, I'm sure you guys have, in our lives, of people who found an extra level of strength trying to save a loved one or did something extraordinary. We read about that woman recently in Uvalde who ignored the police, got into that school and took her 2 kids out of there because fuck it, no one was going to stop her from saving her 2 kids from a crazed shooter. So you don't know what strength you're going to find once you dial into the love you have for people and the love you have for the things that are important to you. It can give you a second strength, for lack of a better term, that you can draw on and that you can lean on, and that'll bring you out from the darkness into the light. And you're right. It was this, and now looking at Kenobi as an entire series, and I'm sure we'll talk about this tomorrow night when we do our live finales. And you all know the Geek Buddy is going live tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. PT with Laura Kelly, breaking this whole episode down. But I'm sure we're going to, when we look at the whole series, I think there is a little bit more of an understanding of the path they were having Kenobi walk. I wanted more of the darkness, more of the grittiness, more of the introspective stuff. Maybe that's asking too much of this kind of Star Wars. So I've had to kind of maybe adjust that in my mind. And then seeing Kenobi, because Kenobi is a good man from top to bottom, right? He's not an evil person. He's not an angry person. He's a hurt person. He's a person who's been kind of slapped back from the events that happened in the sequel trilogy, in the prequel trilogy, and in the years since, the corresponding 10 years since. So certainly this is a guy who's a little beaten, a little wounded. And so he has to find his way back into the battle. And who knew that Leia would be, obviously they did, but we didn't know that Leia was going to be the key for him getting back into the battle. And maybe now in retrospect, we all should have seen it, because Leia is the one that sends the message to Kenobi through R2-D2 in A New Hope to get him to get back in the fight and get Luke into the fight. So, you're my only hope. So it's fascinating. And I love the way, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So let's talk about the Leia. Oh, we got one more here. Hold on. BK Finest says, I enjoyed the entire series, even the so-called weaker episodes. I just wanted more of Reva's story and for it to make sense of some of the story choices, like how she survived 2 lightsaber stabbings, but those things seem small in light of these epic episodes. Look, you're not wrong. You're not the only person who's felt this way. Certainly, BK Finest. A lot of people felt it was odd that she keeps being left alive. And then, of course, we see Anakin keep being left alive. So maybe they're the balance in the universe and that they both keep being left alive. But yeah, a little more believability about why that happened, about what was going on with that, I think would have served this series really well. I don't disagree with you. But, you know, we got that epic finale with, or not epic, but like really moving finale with her story there at the end with Kenobi and with Luke and with Owen and Beru there as well. So there's a power in that. But yes, the believability of why they left her alive. Maybe she played dead. Maybe she found a way to run off or whatever. Remember, she said she covered herself with the blood. So that stuff could be excused, how she got away from Vader. Although Vader is you would imagine Anakin / Vader would have sensed her still being alive as he surveyed all the bodies there when he killed all the younglings. And we don't know yet what happened with Grogu. So there was no Grogu reference. I don't think there's no Grogu illusion, I don't think, in this. So I thought that was interesting as well. But all right, let's move on to the Leia situation here real quick. I don't want to spend too much time. Y'all, I know y'all got big days going on. So, but yeah, the Leia situation, I thought that was done really well here. Vivian Lynn-Blair has just been stellar in this role of Leia. I thought she was fantastic from top to bottom in what she brought to the show, and I want to make sure I give her all the credit I can give her here. Because she's, you know, initially she's there on the ship. She does not want Kenobi to go, and they're heading to Tessin, they said, and they need more time. They have to fix the ship to get it out of danger. Then Kenobi says, I got to go. Because I'm the one he's after. He knows Anakin is going to go after him instead of going after the ship. And Leia, we see Leia using Lola kind of distract the kids because the kids are scared. And Leia's a little more older. You know, she's like a 40-year-old in a 10-year-old's body. She's a little more older, so she understands the situation. And so, she, you know, it's also showing you that she can lead. Even as a child, she had an instinct to lead and take care of people, which I think is really cool as well. And Leia, of course, has a really nice and tender moment between Kenobi and Leia when she says, you know, you promised that you take me home. He apologizes and tells her to tell her father that he tried, you know, to tell Bail Organa that he tried. Then he gives her Tala's gun belt. I thought this was a great moment, of course, because, you know, it kind of harkens to Padme and how she, you know, wore the gun belt. And it's very reminiscent of what we see Leia wear in the comic books series of Princess Leia, which are canon, the comic book series that came out, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And I remember reading those when I was coming on Jedi Council every once in a while. It was great to read those and catch up on them. And I love that Kenobi says, well, I wasn't going to give you a blaster, Leia. It's such a funny line between them because she said, you know, where's the blaster in this thing? And she's like, I'm not going to give you. And she asks him to come back. He says, I will. I promise, you know. And also that sequence with Kenobi by himself before he takes off, he's saying, I have to face him, Master, whether he dies or I do. It ends today. It's pretty badass. Let's see here with Leia. I want to get back to this. Right. We get the battle and everything. We go back to Alderaan. We see Leia there at the end of the episode putting on her all-white outfit, which of course is an iconic outfit that we're going to see from her as she gets older and in numerous pieces of media as well, with the boots and putting on Tala's gun belt. We see the mom come in and she says, oh, all right. She likes it. You know, is that a holster? But she likes it. They walk out. Leia looks at Bail. Bail takes her in for a moment. Leia looks at Bail and says, you said there were many ways to lead. And he says, it looks like I was right. And she says, if I'm going to do this, I want to change things. And he says, let's change things together. Then Kenobi shows up. They are happy to see each other. Leia's happy to see Lola as well. And Bail Organa says to Kenobi, we can never repay you. And Kenobi says, no, she has repaid me, because it's been Leia who dragged him out of that cave, who got him like out of his, what you would actually call depression, I guess, his guilt and his depression, dragged him out of there by, kind of inspiring him to act. Inciting moment, inciting incident, right, is the Leia kidnapping. So his whole change here, his whole journey in the series is all incited by Leia's kidnapping and his care for Leia, his care for Padme. And so this is what kind of saved. And plus, Leia throughout these episodes has been the one calling out Kenobi, has been the one saying all these things like, look, you got to get in the fight. You can't just sit on the sidelines. Has been the one there kind of snapping back at him every time he thinks he's got the verbal upper hand with her. She's kind of put him in his place at times, and he's also put her in her place at times as well. So it's been a good back and forth, a good quid pro quo. And Bale says, I fear for her future. The Empire goes stronger and bolder. Kenobi says, well, if you need my help again, you know where to find me. Let's hope that day never comes, says Bale. And of course, that day does come. But then Leia and Kenobi have great chat, and Leia compliments Kenobi compliments Leia with about her qualities and all these qualities that come from Padme, right? But then, in kind of a turn, which is a really sweet turn, considering now he's come to terms and he's let go of the pain and the guilt of Anakin. Anakin has chosen his path. He is fully Darth Vader now, which of course leads to what Kenobi says to Luke about Vader rather in The New Hope. So Kenobi can let go of the guilt, because he has apologized. He has asked for forgiveness. He would gladly draw Anakin back into the light if Anakin had said, help me, Obi-Wan, but he doesn't. He says, this is who I am now. And I killed Kenobi. You didn't. So a little bit of a out for Kenobi that it's enough to give him some closure here. And so he's able to tell her that she is also passionate, fearless, and forthright, which are gifts from her father, Anakin. And he says he wish he could tell her more, but then Leia sneaks a look at Bale and his wife and says, it's okay. You don't have to. And then Kenobi says, I'll always be available if you need me. And of course, he does. She doesn't need him later on. And I think this is for right now, in terms of canon, this is the last time we see Leia and Kenobi together, and she hugs him and says goodbye. She hugs him goodbye and says goodbye, Obi-Wan. He says, may the Force be with you. So, and we hear the Force music cue there, which is great in that moment. But yeah, what a powerful ending, moving ending, and sweet ending, and no perfect ending, in my opinion, for the Leia Kenobi storyline throughout this entire series. A lot of people were saying, how are they going to weave Luke in? And wouldn't you know it, they weaved Leia in instead, and it really worked. Just so worked. And both Vivian and Ewan deserve such credit for having great chemistry and believable connections with each other. So you guys can correct me, but I believe it's the last time they actually physically see each other currently in canon. There may be other films or TV shows or stories to come, but I think for now, it's the last time they see each other in canon. Yeah. And please, is anybody else? You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this. Yeah, Rocha, the Claudia Gray. Oh, so there's more with them in the Claudia Gray books. Okay. I haven't read the Claudia Gray books. So yeah, John King was, where did he get the gun belt from? It's from Tala, because Tala was killed. Remember, Tala was killed their last episode. So he got the gun belt off of her. Remember, she said she was holding that gun in her gun belt. It's every one of the notches for the people that she saves. So I think there was a nice heritage in that and symbolism in that, and giving her the gun belt, because Leia is going to end up saving people down the road as well. So pretty cool stuff. Let's see here. This is Doc Civil says, John, do you think this Obi-Wan could take on the Emperor and win? Ooh. So really good question, Doc. Because only Vader has ever beaten the Emperor that we've seen, right? I mean, he threw him down the shaft. And I see a lot of people kind of retro not liking that, saying like, why does this asshole get off for killing millions of people just because he threw a homie down the shaft? And it's like, guys, redemption is redemption, and there's, what are you going to say? Redemption is redemption. If you're going to hold people's past against them all the time, then no one's ever going to get fucking redeemed, and certainly I like that moment in the original trilogy. It's a beautiful moment there. And I think Obi-Wan could take on the Emperor, especially after this. I mean, he just, when he was fully dialed in with all the Jedi chakra in alignment, he whipped the shit out of Vader. So I think Kenobi is a good man who knows or senses that he's capable to go to even more powerful places, but doesn't allow himself to go to those places because he doesn't want to kill people. That's not in his instinctual nature. And I think that's important to understand about Obi-Wan. It's not his instinctual nature to harm, to kill, to hurt, to wipe out. It's not his thing. That's why he's a counter to Vader, because it is Anakin / Vader's impulse to kill, to wipe out, to destroy, to hurt, to maim, working, because he's got such a deep pit of anger and pain and resentment and insecurity and darkness that he's trying to fill. And that hole is never going to be filled, no matter how much he kills or is in power or supposedly doing what he needs to do to protect people, like he was trying to protect Padme. That never works. And once again, it's a great life lesson. If you are constantly hurting other people and destroying other people because it makes you feel good about yourself or makes you feel like you're somehow tougher or better than someone else, the truth is you're actually conveying how much not better you are than people, how much you're still caught up in the old patterns of your past and the old pain of your past, and you haven't let it go. And this entire series is about letting go of the past, letting go of the pain of the past so that you can move forward into a better future, and that's a great life lesson for so many of us. Look, how many of us have great childhoods? Not a lot of us have great childhoods, not not necessarily because of our parents. Sometimes it's because of interactions with kids. Sometimes it's because how we're naturally built, the bullies, not being the cool kid, not being included in stuff. I still have that. I still struggle with that sometimes when I'm not included in things or not asked to be part of things. It hurts because you're just like, wait, I thought we were friends. I thought we'd do this, And so it's all the kind of some of those hurt feelings from the past will pop up every once in a while. It's about how you negotiate them and come out of them and take the lesson from those feelings and those moments where you're feeling that way that I think make the difference in your life in a powerful way. So it's great. Star Wars is always teaching lessons. This is why I focus the Jedi way, or Laura and I really focus on the Jedi way, on the philosophical concepts of Star Wars, the lessons, the things they try to teach us with the stories they tell. And they're really important things that they're trying to teach us. People might be mad about this, but you can learn so much if you just watch Star Wars or read Star Wars. You can learn so much about how to be a good person, how to understand that the world's not always going to be perfect. The world is kind of gray. And then if you allow yourself to go into the darker areas, what the end result can be for you, for a majority of people, in my opinion, let's see what else is back. Oh yeah. So, and then with Kenobi, let's deal with the kind of end sequences here. Speaking of lessons, let me take a sip here. How about the lessons that the Emperor tries to teach Vader here, which I think is so cool here. Where is it? Yeah. Vader is back on Mustafar after the battle. His helmet is fixed. He's sitting on his throne. By the way, there's no better throne. You can take that Iron Throne out of here. There's no better throne, no better location than Vader's castle on Mustafar. That is a fucking awesome location. I mean, the lava, all of it, it absolutely conveys who Vader is. And, you juxtapose that when we go to Alderaan. Alderaan is full of vegetation and life and brightness and joy and happiness. And there's the darkness of Mustafar and the lava and the rock formations and this jutting castle with angles, that makes it difficult to get close to. That's Vader, and it's sparse. It's just all this blackness. There's no furniture. There's no furniture, just the throne, and anyway, the Emperor shows up in a hologram, and he says, he says, I wonder if your thoughts are clear on this, Lord Vader. Perhaps your feelings for your older master have left you weakened. If your past cannot be overcome, even the Emperor is teaching lessons about letting go of the past, because they cloud your judgment, they cloud your mind, they cloud where you might be going. And Vader assures him, Kenobi means nothing. I serve only you, my master. And then we hear the Imperial March. So looking at that moment, as I said, Emperor trying to teach him even now, trying to teach him lessons about letting go of the past, just like Qui-Gon tried to do, just like Kenobi tried to do. Here's yet another master who's trying to get Anakin, which is ironic that the Emperor is trying to get Anakin to let go of his past so he can be a little more clear-headed to carry out the Emperor's desires and his wishes to control the galaxy here. And he says Kenobi means nothing. I serve only you, my master. So that explains why we don't see him go after Kenobi for 10 years. So again, this is really well done, convenient writing that works to kind of connect everything from A New Hope. It's not easy to write, especially when you got Star Wars fans waiting for you to fail, waiting for you to write the wrong thing, just waiting to carve it up into pieces with their fork and knives. It's not easy to kind of tacitly connect stuff and fill in the gaps or fill in the holes here and make them all these years later connect back up into A New Hope. And certainly that does that there. But yeah, just kind of lost, still lost. No matter what he tells the Emperor, Vader is still lost in his feelings about Kenobi. He cannot seem to beat Kenobi fully, because I would argue that the lightsaber sequence or battle we had a few episodes ago in the series, Vader knew Kenobi wasn't at his best. It wouldn't have been a satisfying victory to beat a scared, hesitant, unsettled older person. He wants him at his best so that he can enjoy the victory at his best. And then we end with Kenobi. Sorry. Let me see if we've got any Streamlabs before we head forward here. Chris Cutler says, loved leaving the classic music till the end. Yeah, it really made it pop. It really made it pop waiting till the end. Did it look like Palpatine's complexion cleared up since the rise of Skywalker? Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think you might be right. Cleared up just a little bit here, man. So, I got some OCD going on. Hold on. I need to move the poster a little bit over. Is that right? Yeah, a little bit over here. All right, there we go. Sorry, I get some OCD sometimes, guys. It kind of affects me. So, it cleared up for sure. Oh, we got a bot in here. Let me block that bot. Eventually they do come in. Let's see if we've got any more Streamlabs or super chats that I can answer for you guys. So thanks so much again for joining me right here. Thank you to Francisco Marcus for subscribing. Appreciate it, Francisco, for subscribing to the channel. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe down below and hit that bell button so you see when we're dropping all content just like this. Sometimes I go live randomly. Sometimes I just want to talk about it, go live on YouTube. And I'm very fortunate that people are willing to hang out with me and talk about it. And the chat's been very, very lively. 127 of you joining me right now. So thank you very much for doing that. If you want to send a Streamlab or super chat in, the address is right on the screen. Big shout out to Tushka Productions, who've done all the new graphics here for the Outlaw Nation. He's been fantastic with the look and the feeling and the vibe. I can't thank him enough for the work he's done. And so you see the Streamlabs address right up there. It's also pinned in the chat, and you can send in a super chat if you want. Let's see here. Steve says he didn't really ever stop looking for Kenobi. He says to Palpatine and Rebels that Ahsoka may lead him to Kenobi. Yeah, true. It does happen at some point. He does find his way back to it. So we don't know if he stopped or if he just kind of casually left it in the air, and then if it led him back to Kenobi, then he'd be willing to take care of the situation for sure. All right, let's see. Okay, no more Streamlabs have come through yet, so let's deal with the end here with Kenobi. We've been holding off on it, so let's talk about it. So Kenobi is back in the cave and has a bag of parts for Luke to build a starfighter. That harkens back to the opening sequence, the opening episode rather of the series, where we see him bring these things to Luke, and Luke puts them together, and Owen confronts him and says, you got to stop hanging. You got to stop doing that. You got to stop leaving stuff for him. You got to stop trying to connect with him. Leave him the hell alone. So, we see that. So now we see this is a different Kenobi. Look, you guys, I'm sure you guys noticed this. And for some of you don't, I'll say this for some of you don't. Costuming is so important, right? When we first see Kenobi in the first episode, it's much more muted tones in his costumes and his outfits, a lot of browns, like grays, kind of muted tones, right? We see, and even his body posture, even the way he's shot, is a little more lower in status, right? When we see him here in the cave, it's like when you kind of wrap up, you leave a place that you used to live, or you walk away from an emotional state of mind that you lived in for a while. Again, I liken this to depression, the cave being the depression. He is in that cave dealing with the guilt for 10 years of what happened with Anakin and what happened, all the red flags that maybe he didn't notice as the Empire came to power and how Palpatine tricked them all. And so he's got all of that. And there's a lot of guilt because he's a caring person. He's an empathetic person, you would argue. And so he carries that guilt with him. So there's more of a downtrodden approach to the world from Kenobi when he's in that cave. But when we see him again back in the cave, he's kind of packed up all this stuff, and he's got his little case there, but he's got his bags. He's got the bag of toy parts for Luke. He's putting on his satchel with the 2 pockets, and his outfit is a brighter outfit, right? It's not reminiscent. It's a little bit reminiscent of Leia's outfit, but not quite. But it's a brighter outfit. It's a brighter colors, and he's standing up more strongly, more proudly, more firmly. He's had his closure. He's come to terms with the things that have happened, and he's in a better place, you know. And now the cave is no longer necessary for him. Now he wants to go back out and reconnect to the world. And this is the Kenobi that we're going to see in A New Hope. More relaxed, more playful, more fun, more confident, wiser. And that's where we're heading towards. And so I love that moment happens, because that's what it can feel like for those of us who've been in the deepest of depressions, as I have been, climbing out of it. There's a light once you climb out. There's a brightness once you climb out. There's a real wanting to reconnect with the world once you climb out that is so essential, that I think is really powerful. There's a lot of symbolism here for me. And we see that he no longer wants to hide away, as I said, or watch from the shadows. We see him right in to Owen and Beru's place. Luke sees him too. Owen says to him, "What are you doing here? I thought you were going to keep your distance," which I thought was really weird. Like, "Oh, dude, I just showed up, and then was going to take on Reva for Luke, for God's sakes." How about a little more understanding? He's a lot less argumentative than he was in the first episode, Owen is. So there is a little bit of a softening there. And Kenobi says, "And I will. You were right. He just needs to be a boy. The future will take care of itself. The only protection he needs now, Owen, is you and Beru. Take good care of him." And so for right now, Kobe is handing off Leia, the taking care of Leia. He handed off to Haja, and then handed off to Bail Organa, and the taking care of Luke, handing it back off to Owen and Beru, and understanding that Owen was right. He needs to be a boy, because what Kenobi was going to do in the first episode when he was battling with Owen verbally was essentially he was trying to impose he's almost like a sports dad. He was trying to impose his failures onto Luke. And by that, I mean, you're not going to make the mistakes I did. You're going to be better. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be the balance in the Force. So I'm going to train you. I'm going to make up for my mistake with Anakin by training you. But that would have been the wrong course to go completely. There's another path that needed to happen here. And eventually Kenobi sees it too. Owen is trying to tell him, let him be a boy, let him have his fun. If you pollute him, and that's what it would be with the whole Sith Jedi and all of that stuff, it'll keep him from being a young boy. And so many people, we saw that in King Richard. If you saw the film there with the Will Smith there as Richard Williams and the 2 daughters, Serena and Venus, he does the same thing in the movie. He pulls them out of tennis for a couple of years in their formative years, so they can be girls and they can be teenagers and they can be in school and they can have fun and make friends and do all those things. So tennis is not their only life. And I think Owen was trying to say that to Kenobi in some way, like, hey, this can't be the only thing. In fact, letting him be a boy, letting him grow up, letting him experience, letting him have fond memories, this is how you're going to have a more well-balanced person who is going to be ready for the fight, and I think that's really powerful. Again, great symbolism, great messages coming through in these exchanges with Kenobi and Owen, with Kenobi and a number of people here in this episode. And then Owen says, "I will," about taking care of him, says, "Ben, you want to meet him?" Which is such a great moment. And then Kenobi walks over, and I thought it was genius to have him just say, "Hello there." And we've been waiting 6 episodes for him to say, "Hello there." And it worked so well. And we don't have to see Luke's reaction. We don't have to see them interacting or playing with the toys. It's just enough that he got to say the line to Luke there, which was really great. So just what a fun moment. And as if that wasn't enough, then we cut to Ben riding off into this location. And it reminded me a lot, those mountains and all of that. It reminded me a lot of Lawrence of Arabia, with him essentially on a space camel riding into this kind of a valley. And who shows up there? Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon's been waiting for him. And Kenobi is not like super shocked. He's just like, "Master, oh my God, nice to see you," right? And Qui-Gon says, he's like, "How come I couldn't see you before?" And he says, "I was always here, Obi-Wan. You just were not ready to see. Come on." Oh, man. And that moment, I started crying. I started crying now because, those of us who lost someone we really love, we hope they're waiting for us when we get to our place that we're going. We hope they're waiting for us to guide us into the place that we're going. We hope they're waiting for us with open arms and with love. And Qui-Gon is so simply just there and says, I've always been here. And, for those of us who've lost really important people in our lives, for me losing my father a few years ago, they're always there. Once we clear our minds, remove the hate and the anger and the guilt and the fear and the self-esteem issues and low self-worth issues, we can remove that kind of stuff. We can see them more clearly, see their lessons, their impact, their effect on our lives, listen to what they wanted from us, and live a more fuller, richer life in honor of them and ourselves. And that moment is so beautiful between him and Qui-Gon. And, Qui-Gon so simply just saying, I've always been here, man. You just weren't ready to see me yet because you were caught up in your guilt and depression and sadness about what happened with the Republic, what happened with the Empire, what happened with Anakin, and with me, with Qui-Gon. So you had to let go of all, come to closure of all of that so that your mind could be ready to receive this stuff. Now, they don't talk about Anakin and what happened. Maybe that's down the road. Maybe that's season 2, the discussion about what happened with Anakin. But that moment was worth it because it was so sweet, and it broke me. My friend Rafael Montemayor and on Twitter said, dude, I was bawling at the end. And I was bawling as well. I had to hide it from my girlfriend who was working. She was on a Zoom call at her job. And I was like, I was just holding it real tight because those kinds of things, now that I'm an older dude, those kind of moments really do hit me really hard. And some of you, once you get older, will feel those moments deeper as well. It happens. It happens. Look, no one rode harder or was crazier than me and never thought I'd be this emotional guy as I got older than me. But, it happens, y'all. So get ready for that. And I wonder how many of you are maybe in your 20s or 30s when you watch this movie, maybe a decade or 2 decades from now, how it will affect you emotionally as you've maybe lost people in your lives. I hope you don't, but, life is life and that happens sometimes. But I thought it was beautiful. What a great ending. And they go off into the mountains. What a fantastic ending. So. Oh, yes. And thank you, D. Carson. The Lawrence of Arabia reference was also an Alec Guinness moment, right? Because Alec Guinness is in Lawrence of Arabia as well. And he's great in Lawrence of Arabia in his dealings with Peter O'Toole is fantastic. So, sorry about the bot here, guys. I'm just talking. So I couldn't, I don't think I have any admins in here right now who could have stopped the bot. So I apologize to you all for that. So, all right, well, there you go. That's the whole series. That's the whole finale. My reaction to it all. I got super emotional and just kind of really moved by everything that was taught, everything that was seen. I see more of these bots coming in. I'm trying to block as many of them as I can, guys. So there was so much that was happening for me, and I hope it happened for you all as well. Some of the criticisms, I've touched on them as we've talked through the whole episode here. But overall, I thought this was an incredible way to end the series. And now, as I said earlier, I want to go back and sit down on some Saturday afternoon or sometime I've got there during the week and just sit and watch all the episodes back to back to back and maybe have a different assessment of the series overall and how it worked. So we shall see overall. Slen 182 says, thoughts on the use of an AI to do Vader's voice? I thought it sounded good and couldn't even tell, but it still feels weird that we're at this point now. Yeah, I thought it was great. And I wonder, as I said earlier, if they mixed in Hayden saying the lines with James Earl Jones saying the lines, so we're getting a little bit of pacing. I wonder if James recorded first and then Hayden Christensen matched his voice patterns and his inflections, which they can do in voiceover. And then mix them both together using the AI. I wonder if that's what they did, but it was fantastic for sure. So I really enjoyed that for sure. So yeah, let's see. Black Beach wants to know, John, will you be breaking down Andor? Dude, am I Latino? Absolutely, we're breaking down Andor. I think I found that this is what I need to do. I enjoy doing the Geek Buddies reviews. They're so much fun, but I think I need to do these kind of like reaction videos talking about it. I feel more comfortable doing stuff like this than I do necessarily recording a whole video, laying down graphics for it, laying down images and video. Sometimes I like to just go live and talk about stuff because it's how I work it out. And especially because you guys are so awesome. I love hearing from you guys and your points of views, you guys and gals, your points of views, your thoughts, your comments, your assessments, your perceptions. Because look, nobody owns a monopoly on reviewing anything. You guys might be able to pick up stuff that other reviewers or other critics don't. And I think that's always essential. I've always found that to be an essential part of how we do things here on the Outlaw Nation, is that we hear from you all as well and be open to your points of views. And it's a lot of fun to hear you all for sure. Right, Steve, I agree. It sounded more like Hayden's cadence to me a lot of the time, like he recorded it and they use that as base of the AI. That's absolutely possible. You know, James is a well-seasoned actor. So maybe Hayden recorded the lines and then James in and kind of matched his patterns, matched his speech, his inflections and all of that. So John Shepard saying we should have gotten the conversation over. That wouldn't have been the way to end this series, man. It would have ended on a down note. And there's no way they're ending Kenobi on a down note. So I think that's, if they're going to have a season 2, and certainly Ewan McGregor said he wants to have a season 2, I think that's where you have that conversation. Now that we've introduced Qui-Gon as Force Ghost, now that it was great to see Liam Neeson back, right? Didn't you get jazzed by that? And now that we've got Kenobi and the stuff he's doing, I think season 2 now will open up the door for those kinds of conversations and those kinds of possibilities too. Fred Tastic saying, I loved when Owen said, you want to meet him? Yeah. It was almost like Ginny when she was introducing Forrest to his son, right? That moment, you know, and when Forrest kind of falls back, goes, is he, you know, and it's great. That's such a great moment. So, yeah, so let's see. I just want to make sure I don't miss any of y'all's comments. So, Adam, so to be fair, Adam said, morning, sadly, very disappointed in the show. Expectation was very high and they decided to introduce all these unnecessary new things. Well, they may seem unnecessary now, but they may be necessary down the road because clearly they've got it, just like Kenobi now. They've got a bigger picture plan of what they want to do. And I know some people were calling it the Reva series, but you got to move forward. It can't just be Kenobi. And I'm with you guys in that I would have liked more of it to be focused on Kenobi, but I also understand they've got to create new characters, new mythology, because a lot of the fandom says, oh my God, we're going back to the original trilogy again. We're going back to Tatooine again. We're going back to these old characters again. There's a number of the fandom that feel this way. So you as a business and as a franchise, as a studio, you've got to be able to address the older fans and the younger fans in equal measure. You know, a separate Reva series, I think there's rumors there might be a spinoff Reva series, and certainly the way the show ends, you could absolutely see a spinoff Reva series. I'm sad we lost Tala because I really wanted a Tala series. That would have been fun to see her as being part, maybe her and Roken getting together, leading rebellions or leading the resistance there in some way. That would have been fun to see as well, but sadly we don't. So we shall see. All right, yeah. Do we think we see Reva in season 2? Yeah, maybe. Maybe as a guest star for an episode or 2. It's possible for sure. So we shall see. All right, let's see. There's no more Streamlabs, so I'm going to wrap it up there. No more Super Chats. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. And hey, if later on you want to send a Streamlab or Super Chat as a thank you for doing this, please feel free to send the Streamlab there. I will see it, and I will give you some love when we do our spoiler review tomorrow night. Don't forget, 7:30 p.m. PT. We will do the Geek Buddy spoiler review here. Michael's points of view, Shannon's points of views, Laura's points of views on everything. I think you've heard my points of views on everything, so you're good to go here. And I'll maybe toss in some stuff tomorrow that kind of correlates to what they're talking about. But join us tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. PT for the spoiler review of this episode, this finale. And we'll obviously discuss the whole series, and we'll answer your Streamlabs and Super Chats tomorrow night as well. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed it. For those who didn't, I'm sorry you didn't, but for those who you did, who felt it like I felt it, got emotional like got emotional, it cried like I cried, I feel you and I connect with you, and I enjoyed it as well. So, all right, that's it for me. Y'all take care of yourselves. No, they haven't greenlit season 2. I'm just saying if there is a season 2, and there's a lot of rumors floating around that there might be. So, all right, y'all take care of yourselves. Be well. Love you madly, and I'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of the Outlaw Nation. Peace, and may the Force be with you.